Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Darth Matu's Holocron. I got another character file for you guys today, and I will be honest, he is one of my favorites. We're going to talk about Master Gnost-Dural. He's a character from, and kind of the partial narrator of, the Star Wars Old Republic MMO. He makes his first introduction voiced by Lance Henriksen in the timeline videos for that game, but he has since been featured in several novels. He even has a large part where you get to fight next to him or against him in the Old Republic. And his in-universe journal has become a source book for the Old Republic that you can actually purchase. But before we go any further, guys, if you like these kinds of chats about Star Wars, lore, or just narrative storytelling in general, check out the description for links both to my personal Discord and to the Praxeum, which is a Star Wars Legends non-profit that's dedicated to a positive fandom. But alright, let's get into it. Master Gnost-Dural was a Kel Dor male that was born sometime prior to 3685 BBY, though the exact date has been lost to the mists of time. He was found to be Force-sensitive at a young age and given to the Jedi for training. The Kel Dor was sent to Coruscant, where he would spend much of his time as a Padawan, studying under a plethora of masters, including the Miralucan master, Shol Bestros. Gnost-Dural had a curious mind, and this naturally suited him for the role of scholar. He read everything that he could get his hands on, plunging deep into the Jedi archives, searching for lost knowledge. And lost knowledge he would find. Gnost-Dural would discover knowledge about Tython, the ancient homeworld of the Jedi, the Infinite Empire, and the Force Wars. Now, we talked about the Force Wars and all this other stuff way back at the start of this channel, back when I was doing all these videos in character as a Sith Lord. So, yeah, I'll link that below if you can stomach the voice changer and the cheese. But for now, it's important to note that Gnost-Dural helped the Jedi of the Old Republic learn more about their past than they had known about in centuries. And this was all while he was still a Padawan. He would also start writing his journal during this period of his life at the behest of Master Bestros, and that journal would become a very informative text in the actual Star Wars universe later on. You can, like I said, buy it and you can read it yourself, and it gives you his actual thoughts from an in-universe perspective. Gnost-Dural would eventually claim his knighthood, though the exact year is unknown. Shortly after that, he would find himself swept up in the Great Galactic War, fighting alongside the Republic and the Jedi against the Sith Empire when it was at its height. He would end up dispatched to the Minos cluster with 100 other Jedi Knights, where they were supposed to counter a Sith offensive in a quick counterattack of their own, but battle turned into a slog where both sides had to hunker down on the planet Eliad. Gnost-Dural would face down and defeat his first Sith during this battle, an experience which helped him to realize that many dark-side wielders were supremely overconfident, and that was a weakness that could be exploited against them. After this battle, he would end up transferred to the command of one Admiral Greek, and Admiral Greek was in charge of a large portion of the Republic forces at this time. Gnost-Dural would take part in the defense of Bothawui, and then after that he would spend many more months on the front lines, fighting in the trenches as he appealed back to the Jedi High Council to allow him to come back to Coruscant to study in the archives. Finally, they would approve his request, and he would get transferred back to Coruscant so he could begin looking into the origins of the Sith. And he would discover a lot. Gnost-Dural would help the Jedi learn more about the Sith and their origins than ever before, just as he had helped them learn more about themselves than ever before. Man, I really love Gnost-Dural. Intelligent, scholar-like characters really speak to me. But anyway, he would become such a renowned scholar that they would make him keeper of the Jedi archives, and he would eventually train at least one apprentice, reaching the rank of master. Maybe some of you guys out there know who his first apprentice was, but we know that at least one of them was a female Falleen named Kana Terid. And Falleen are the same species as Xizor from Shadows of the Empire, and we'll talk a little bit about both of those things in another video. But anyway, the Jedi High Council would task Gnost-Drual with creating a comprehensive timeline during the Galactic Cold War. They really wanted to understand what had caused the Great Galactic War, how they could be blindsided by it. So Gnost-Drual studied the years before that and examined the conflict itself, presenting his timeline to the Council in the hope that they could learn from their mistakes. Now, you can actually watch this timeline. It's really good. It's amazing. It came out when the Old Republic was first being released, and I'll link the first video to it below. I really highly recommend. In 3640 BBY, Gnost-Drual would be dispatched to hunt down a Sith superweapon known as the Ascendant Spear. Now, the Ascendant Spear was pretty much a normal battle cruiser, but it came with a new interface that allowed an organic user to interface directly with the computer systems. So a person could control the spear as if it was a part of their body with just their thoughts. A Force user could even enhance the capabilities of the ship with the Force while they were interfaced this way. And this obviously was giving the Sith a very distinct advantage in most conflicts they were going into. So, the Republic responded by sending Theron Shan, a Republic intelligence agent and the son of Satil Shan, as well as Gnost-Drual to destroy this vessel. The two of them would infiltrate where the spear was docked, and Dural would go to face his former apprentice, Kana Terid. Terid had fallen to the dark side and taken up the moniker Darth Carid, and Dural went to duel her in order to distract her while Shan sabotaged the spear. He would get into a fight there with several of her apprentices and her, and he would kill the apprentices, but then allow himself to be captured, both so that he could potentially talk her back to the light, but also so that he could distract her further and potentially lead her into an ambush. And that was exactly what happened. The spear would end up caught by a Republic fleet under the command of Jace Malcolm, who was Theron's illegitimate dad. That's a story for another time, but Gnost-Drual would end up freed by Shan during the battle, and the pair of them would sabotage the ship, escape, killing Darth Carid in the process. Gnost-Drual would remain one of the Jedi Order's best throughout the Second Galactic War and the conquest of the Eternal Empire. He would fight in the defense of Mimban during that later conflict, holding the planet in a bloody battle which left only him and one other survivor, Tau Idare. Idare was a Jedi Knight, and she would become Gnost-Drual's informal apprentice in the following months, often serving as his right hand. The two of them would collect civilian volunteers and surviving Jedi, then head to the world of Ossus to start a hidden colony. The idea, at least Dural's thinking, was that by doing so they could help preserve the Jedi. They had been really devastated by such prolonged conflict, and he had a real fear that they might be exterminated completely. Ossus at the time had been devastated by Exar Kun during the Old Sith Wars, and Dural hoped that he could restore the world to prominence sometime in the future. It also didn't hurt that Ossus was once home to the lost Great Jedi Library, which was one of the greatest collections of knowledge in the galaxy. Gnost-Drual, he was ever a scholar. But despite his best intentions, the Sith Empire would discover the colony and attack, forcing him to abandon it. He would then be drawn into battle again in 3627 BBY when the Sith Empire launched their renewed assault against the Republic in general. They would strike at Corellia, which was one of the most important worlds in the Republic. They hoped to take the planet, which would have been a very big symbolic blow, but also would have knocked one of the Republic's biggest ship producers out of the fight. Gnost-Drual would help lead the defense of the Meridian Complex, which was a massive shipyard outside Coronet. The Republic would hold the line there, in large part thanks to Gnost-Drual's efforts, and the victory on Corellia would ensure that the Republic was not overwhelmed in the opening weeks of the conflict. Gnost-Drual, he always had the Jedi in his heart. The Order, like I said, was severely devastated by the Great Galactic War and the succeeding conflicts. The few remaining Jedi were questioning their future, so Gnost-Drual would be the one to convene a council of the Order's best in order to discuss how the Jedi were going to survive, how they were going to rebuild their numbers. He was by no means the one to dictate these things. Instead, he acted kind of as a mediator, a social lubricator, bringing the rest of the Jedi together so that they could decide as one what was to be done. It's worth noting that the Old Republic is an ongoing MMO, which I think just had a new expansion come out, so it is very likely this is not the last that we are going to see of Gnost-Dural, and if you want to see some of these moments, even take part in them yourself, you can do that by playing the MMO. The Old Republic is free to play, and you can download it on Steam and see the old Kel Dor in action for yourself. But yeah, Gnost-Dural, he was a Kel Dor, as I said, meaning that he shares a species with Plo Koon, which is one of people's favorite prequel-era Jedi. Unlike Plo Koon, he has a green lightsaber, which reflects his position as a Jedi consular. Gnost-Dural trained at least one Padawan to their knighthood, Kana Terid, as we said, though she later fell to the dark side, but I find it likely that he trained many more. We know that he offered informal training and mentorship to Tau Idair later on, even pushing her to take on her own Padawan, and we know he was a huge nerd, one of the Order's best scholars and their head archivist. So I just find it very likely that he had a hand in teaching a few different people. It's interesting to note that the Kel Dor have their own homegrown force order known as the Baron Do, and it's not unheard of for members of the Do to train under Jedi teachings and vice versa. I just find it interesting that Dural was sent to the Jedi at a young age, and not to the Do. I can't help but wonder if he was even born on Doran, the Kel Dor's homeworld, or if he was born on an off-world colony. I mean, how else did they miss him? Anyway, Gnost-Dural was one of the most important figures in the Old Republic. He helped the Jedi in more ways than they appreciated, steering them to a greater sense of their own identity, as well as heroically putting his life on the line for the Order and for the Republic multiple times. He's proven himself in combat against multiple dark side opponents and has shown himself to be supremely skilled in the Force. He is especially skilled in telekinesis, able to lift weights easily that others would struggle with, and he is especially adept as well at Force speed. He is also trained in several forms of lightsaber combat, and he is most notably seen using Soresu, Gemso, and Juyo, though I find it likely that he was trained in all of the other forms as well. He was an extremely studious individual after all, and we know that forms like Shi-Cho are often taught as basics to initiates, so I can very much see him studying hard when it came to the lightsaber practice. But alright guys, that is all I got for you today. Another shorter video, but a look at one of my all-time favorite Star Wars characters. Definitely one of my top 5 favorite Jedi. I'd love to talk more about him and get more in detail, but unfortunately Gnost-Dural's journal, one of the source books that I mentioned, I could never get my hand on it. It is super expensive, or at least it has been every time I go looking for it. You know, one day though. One day! Anyway, let me know what you guys think about Gnost-Dural in the comments, if I got anything wrong, or if you have anything to add, or just tell me who your favorite Jedi is. Thanks for stopping in, guys. If you made it this far, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Take care of yourselves out there. Stay safe, and may the Force break your chains.